Andor, Season 1, Episode 3, and this episode I found to be the second best episode out of the 3 episodes that we've been given so far. And it's one of those episodes where, like, it's an under siege episode. You know, the Empire is at the town, Cassian is having a deal with Stanislavski's character, and when the deal happens, the Empire busts in, and we have a shootout, and they try to escape, and that whole thing. And it's a neat, and I would say this, for the first, if you think about it, the first action sequence of the show, it is kind of highlighting, like, it isn't going to be Obi-Wan with the lifesavers. It isn't going to be like the Mandalorian where we are all big bam boom and try and make it big and grand. It's kind of very small and stale. Like, the big, giant action sequence in this episode is inside a warehouse, and it's a shootout. It's Cassian is covering himself, you know, while the Empire is shooting at him, and while that's happening, all of this stuff on chains are like getting loose and dropping from the ceiling over and over again, and it's like, whoa, 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 you know, he's trying to not get crushed. And there's a really brutal death in it where, like, the chain is wrapped onto one of the Empire's, like, troops' the soldier's foot, and just drags it and smacks him against the brick wall. And I'm like, oh, that's a horrible way to go. It's brutal, and it's really creative, but it actually shows, like, you know what it is? It reminds me of Logan, where Logan, there's some really good action, but it's not like the biggest like, oh my god, this is amazing. It's like it fits the story. The style of the action fits the style of the show, and while at the same time be brutal and be realistic. And I mean, seems to be a show that is really going to be heavy on the wars in the title of Star Wars. Like, there's a scene when a character witnesses the death of a loved one by the Empire, and they're dead on the street, and they're handcuffed, and they have no choice but to, just because they're handcuffed, to look at their dead corpse. You're like, Jesus, this is stuff that we don't see in the movies. And I to be fair, I don't think it would ever be in a movie. That stuff would never be in Rogue One, because there would be a preset notion of, like, it feels like TV is where we can take the most risks for movies that we need to make a little bit more mainstream, or a little bit more happy, a little bit cheerful. And it's kind of like, clearly Stanislavski's character is where he's part of setting up the Republic. He's, of course, which will happen, and, you know, will stop both Death Stars, and Leia will take on, and, you know, so on and so forth. But it's showing that it got dirty. You know, you're trying to build up a government that doesn't exist, and trying to change the point of view that people are just happy it happens. You know, it's that type of situation where you have to get your hands dirty, and it's showing it. And, like, the only thing I have been crazy about is the flashbacks. For me personally, I'm like, okay, episode 1, he's part of a tribe. Okay, episode 2, he witnesses the murder. So, as much as that was kind of gripping and thrilling to see, you know, with the tense of it. And then episode 3, Fiona Shaw's character finds young Cassian and takes him on the win. I just feel like those parts could easily be taken out, and we can kind of figure out that, okay, you're this, you're that. Like, it's like okay, his childhood was kind of like this. Like, I feel like it's a situation where we don't have to explain everything, and I feel like the flashbacks could easily be cut out and just keep on this Under Siege story. Clearly, this new guy who is like The old boss is just taking a bit of a break. He's going to deal with, I guess, deal with Vader or whoever, or the Emperor, or someone, Tarkin. And this new guy's taking control. Yeah, he's not up to snuff. He's dead by the end of the season. But then, end of the season, like, he's not coming back in season 2, or at least halfway through season 1. Like, he fucked up. He fucked up bad. It's on his watch. He's going to die. And, maybe not someone that we know, but someone who will probably, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be, we'll get someone from the higher tops to take over, and you are going to get zero the credit because you fucked up. I think that's going to be the situation. I think that's going to be the case. But it's outside the flashbacks. I like this episode. I quite enjoy it. I like the kind of grounded as much as you can with Star Wars, a very grounded style of action. You can tell, like, the interesting thing about the show is they never use the volume. They never use stagecraft for this show, which is quite interesting because we're so used to stagecraft. Obi-Wan definitely used stagecraft. Boba Fett used stagecraft. Mandalorian's the one that created it all. So clearly, and I think stagecraft you probably notice the ones who probably are using stagecraft a lot because they're probably shot in the height of the pandemic. So they're probably for less locations, let's just shoot as much of the volume as we can possibly can, and hopefully it's enough to evince people that A is B. But you can tell now that watching Obi-Wan, they're behind giant TV screen. It doesn't look that legit, really. But do I like the episode? Yes, I'm looking forward to episode 4 next week. Yes, I am. So we got 9 more episodes. Hold on a second. We got 10, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 9. Yeah, we got 9 episodes. 9 more weeks of this show, and I'm liking it. And somehow the 30-minute thing is working with this, because I think what it is, they're able to pack so much in 30 minutes, but without making it feel drag or wash or feel like they're sweating out things just for the sake of it. It feels like there's a purpose to it, and I like it. I like it a lot.